All right. So tell me about the trophy. What's the story with that?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's ours. No. So it's a traveling trophy, technically.
Mm-hmm.
So unlike
For the NCKC,
right.
which is the North Central
conference.
Yeah. Tennis Conference.
So it's basically the equivalent of districts.
Okay.
So we don't have a district tournament, but it's pretty much the same teams. It's honestly, I think it's more teams, but it's that sort of tournament.
I think there's 10 teams.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be traveling, so it moves around every time you win it. We've won it 4 years in a row now.
Hasn't moved much.
It has not moved much. It has not been much of a traveling trophy lately. Yeah, so it's a team win, so you can win individually, but it's a team win that gets that.
And it takes the entire team. You
Right.
can't do that by yourself.
Right. So
Because you accumulate points.
Okay.
So every time a team member advances in the bracket, they accumulate a point for the team.
Okay.
So obviously, the further you go, the more points you get. And so, but even if you have one guy who goes all the way to the championship and wins it, they win their individual championship, but they can't get the trophy by themselves. You can't
Right.
accumulate enough points.
Makes sense.
So the last 3 years before this one, I went and won the final against the first 2 years was our other line 2 singles. So we had an all Gallatin final, and then I won it last year, and then these guys, this year my competition got a little bit heavier, and I wasn't able to win the final, I just went, but these guys won their final.
Nice.
So we had the finalists
So we had plenty of
and the
points
champions.
collectively.
Champions and the doubles and the finalists.
So you are the doubles team.
Yes.
All right. Tell me about the season.
Well, it's going great.
No other way to put it.
It could have maybe gone one match better, but other than that, it's just been a lot of fun.
How many losses do y'all have this season?
One.
So how many of you played then? You've one loss, but how many?
I think 10, right?
Yeah, we've had quite a
That's a solid. It's a solid year.
They've been solid.
So.
And truthfully, I think if they played, the South Oldham match was their first match of the season.
Mm-hmm.
If they played them now, I think it would be a different outcome.
When does the season start?
In February,
Okay, so
mid-February.
a little chilly, a little different.
Oh.
It's terrible. And this year has
Pretty
been
sweaty.
really cold and really wet.
Right, so
Spring sports
yeah.
it's a terrible season for sports. It should not. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Especially a sport
Well, in
that's on a
tennis,
hard court.
You cannot play on a wet court. You can play on a wet field
Mm-hmm.
in different sports, but in tennis you can't because it gets slick. And
Right.
So it's not safe.
Okay.
And there's so much lateral movement with tennis that.
So you're seeing quite a drastic change in temperatures between obviously February and right now it's
today's 80s.
today's perfect and sunny and stuff like
Today
that.
is tennis weather.
Yeah, today's so that. Okay, so you've won this trophy 4 straight years. What are some other things that you all are doing? I mean, that part of the season that goes through the season.
Well, heck, killing all the teams. That's for sure.
That's a given.
Well, so this year, every other year, we've kind of gotten better. We've progressed, and we've lost a few guys. But this year, because when I first started in 7th grade, 7th grade wasn't really a season, and so 8th grade to freshman year was pretty much when I really started going. And most of the people didn't really even know we had a tennis team at our school. So, I was like the guy that played tennis. So I tried to convince these two. Really tried with Damien. Nate was like, no. So I really tried, and I'm trying with Damien years. I mean, what?
2 years.
I tried for 2 years. And so I don't know why, but eventually one day he said, let's do it. I want to play. Okay. And so then Nate was like, okay, well, if he's going to play, I'll play. So they followed. So after we got that team, this year we have 5 seniors.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the collective.
Okay.
Of the ones from that season that we've worked. And that's why it's all paying off. So this year we made the toughest schedule I've seen since I've been on the team. So, we've had Ryle and Simon Kenton and Oldham and South Oldham. You name a good team from, within an hour and a half of here, and we're playing them pretty much.
Now you mentioned scheduling then. So how much power do you have in dictating your scheduling as a team? Picking opponents, picking matches.
All of it.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with that. So at the beginning of the year, like coaches or athletic directors are making calls and you're trying to set out a season?
I make the schedule.
Okay.
Completely. The AD doesn't.
Okay.
That's the thing about most schools. No one else knows anything about tennis.
Okay.
So they just say, okay, you do it all. I start in December.
And so then this year you were looking for harder, more.
I was trying to find teams, and this is harder than it seems. Trying to find teams that would be challenging, but not crushing to, our younger players.
Right.
And because we have, these guys are seniors, but we have eighth graders too.
Okay.
Who play on the varsity team.
Right.
4, don't we?
Yeah.
2 boys, 2 girls.
Yeah, and they're integral parts of the varsity team.
Right.
But they've not developed the any of the strength, the all the things that these guys have developed over the years. So you don't want to get them demolished. So it's hard finding that balance. But this year I created the most challenging schedule that I've ever created because I had so much faith in these guys, and they've killed it. It's so funny. It's like at the beginning of the season, I'm like, oh gosh, okay, guys, I really, really made this challenging schedule, and then they've proceeded to beat everybody. So it's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun.
Now, so you played as an 8th grader, right?
I did. Yeah.
So thinking back, what was that experience like as an 8th grader compared to where you are now?
Oh shoot! Well,
He takes
very
coaching
different.
much better.
So I started as a doubles player.
Okay.
Because that was her thing. She wasn't the coach at that point, but she had still that was the thing. I needed to play doubles before singles. It's so different. So now, not only am I in a different position, but I've kind of worked my way up. When I first joined, I was just middle of the pack in that team.
Right.
And I had kind of worked, and eventually, as I was line 2 singles. And Hayden Ellis, I don't know if he was our line 1 at that point. And I spent a solid year, it was freshman year, trying to get that line 1 spot. I'd challenge him.
Yeah.
I'd try to get that because I knew I was better.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get that spot. But man,
Landon looked prettier. His
but-
game was more correct.
Uh-huh.
And Hayden was a scrapper.
But I could not beat it. My head was not strong enough before that. So we went that whole season. I was the 2. And in that tournament, NCKC, that year, going in as the 2, we played in the final, and I beat him. And that was the first time I had beaten him.
Wow.
And after that, that was my spot. And so I've been 1 single since then. And I've kind of tried to adopt, with newer kids that come on, the leader part of that team, taking in that role. Now I have these guys to help me along with it a little bit, but because I was the only one who even knew about tennis at that point.
Right.
Landon is really committed to it too, though. I mean, he plays year round.
Right.
So, but then it was joining a sport, and I had played soccer my whole life.
I had to force him to join.
Oh,
So
wow.
so I had played soccer my whole life. That was my sport.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
The guy who's
So-
obsessed with it.
Sophomore
He
year,
got 1 goal
maybe
his whole
He's
junior.
like, no, I just want to play on my phone. I'm like, no.
Sophomore year, junior year, I decided I would put all my time into tennis.
Yeah.
I wanted to get really good at it, and that had paid off a lot. Putting all that work into tennis, I don't regret it at all.
Now, do you all have goals for regionals, like what you'd like
Yeah.
for outcome performance-wise? Okay.
Seeded.
Okay. And what does that mean?
That means
Top 8 teams in the region.
Okay.
so
Yes.
we've got to beat all the big schools like Simon Kenton, Shelby, and I don't know.
You already
We
beat
play
Oldham. Oldham was
Yeah.
one of your proven matches. You got that one.
So you get ranked throughout the year based on that for the season?
There's something called UTR, which is Universal Tennis Rating.
Okay.
And every kid in the United States, I mean, it's universal, but within the United States, and specifically in Kentucky,
Yeah.
throughout every match they play, it affects their UTR.
Okay.
Everybody has an individual score. And so when you go into regionals, you use those scores. You also use head-to-head matches. So say someone has a little bit higher UTR ranking than
Yeah.
you, but you beat them.
Yeah.
You would still get moved up. So seeding is important because just like any sport with a bracket, you want the seed because then you you don't end up hooking the one or the two player in the region in your
Every
first rounds
year.
when you're playing in
Okay.
the tournament.
Okay.
So, because typically speaking, your first couple rounds are possibly going to be your.
Sucky.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it takes a while. Tournaments have a way
To show
of
up.
producing more nerves than any other match, and you can't replicate it. You can't train for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you hope to get seeded so that you can, maybe have a couple easier matches
Okay.
to
I'm
ease
aiming
into
for-
the tournament.
I'm aiming for 5 or 6. Then I avoid North Oldham.
We have a pretty good region.
Okay.
Our district.
And you said they're kind of like a super region. I mean, they're bigger than, like for
Did I say
basketball.
that?
Didn't you guys say that? Didn't you say it was a wider
That was
range?
I didn't say
KC.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's-
Okay.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the conference. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The region is about the same. As
Okay.
well, I say that basketball. I mean, they have like eight teams in their region. We have like
That's it.
20.
Okay.
We
Okay.
have
There's a
more than
lot.
that in our district.
So
Yeah.
right, so in region you're gonna find because you send different amounts of teams. So in say basketball they send I think 2 from each
Mhm.
district. Ours, everybody goes that
Okay.
can. So you're not eliminating any good players. You're gonna run into all of them. So
Right, you don't have to go. You don't have to win districts to
Right.
go to regionals.
Okay.
Like
Right.
you would in basketball.
which you would think would make it
Mhm.
easier, but it actually just releases more of those tough players because if between Oldham, South Oldham, North Oldham, 2 of those teams or one of those teams would be gone,
Yeah.
or 4 of those players would be gone. As it is, you get to the second day of regionals to those further rounds, and you're gonna play at least one of those teams.